right, so we're back. We're back with the We Got Issues Hoodlum podcast. And listen, you guys like, subscribe, and
hit the like button
and follow us. Don't make it fun. Like, follow, and subscribe. Hit that button on the right there that says you liked it, like the podcast. You know, make us happy. You know what I'm saying? Catch you right back.
Run that.
Run that.
Run that.
It's a lot of fun having this crew, you know, especially when I'm so fortunate enough to be working with JC for so many years and being one of my best friends and having Queen Vic join us and launching this show. It's been kind of exciting. We're very thankful that we got Carl with us. JC, gonna set the prayer for us for the day to start our day off?
Absolutely. Lord, thank you for all your blessings you blessed us with. Thank you for us being here, being healthy, being together, and help us to be able to put this show together and give back to people where they enjoy it and get something from it. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Shalom. Shalom.
Amen.
Shalom.
Amen.
Shalom.
So, I mean, just jumping in, you know, we have very interesting friendship. First time meeting was in the Bay Area,
In San Francisco.
up in San Francisco.
Nightclub.
Was it the late '80s or was it early '90s?
Oh no, I was 9. Yeah, I was in high school.
You still in college?
Yeah. I was in college when we met. Yeah.
We was in college, so I remember being up there. I had been in the record business now for about 2 or 3 years prior to us meeting up at the Gavin convention in San Francisco, and it was a by chance meeting. I mean, I saw you. We were all hanging out. I think we're at the back of the club, just chilling. And I remember looking up at you, and it's a funny story because the first thing I said to her, "Hey man, are you a model?"
And I'm sitting in San Francisco like, okay, is this dude hitting on me? Like, I didn't know. I'm like, what's going on here?
You guys are in San Francisco.
Yeah. I was sitting there just looking at me like, are you a model? I'm like, who asked that?
I just see this dude, 6'7". He's, you know, handsome kid. I'm looking up at him, and I originally, I told you this before too, I thought he was Christopher Williams. Christopher Williams was a big R&B act, right? Mm-hmm. And he also was like this ladies' man kind of guy. And I remember Chris because he used to come to the Palladium, you know, one of the nightclubs I had back in the day. And so I met Jay at the I was at this convention, and it was just a by chance meeting, and I came to find out that you had been in promotion. You've been in college.
Well, we met because me and Brian Sampson we had a promotion company. We were working here. I don't know what record we were working at.
I think it was a Trash record or was it Dred Scott?
It was probably both. Now it's one of the that's how we were there. That's how we met, and we were sitting on a balcony watching. Well, I forgot who was performing. He's like, "Are you a model?" I'm like, I'm gonna throw this dude over the hill. That's what I think the first time you see in the thing, you hold over. I think I held you over at that time.
Like, what was your actual reaction though? Like, not just your mental reaction. What did you say? I
don't know what I said, but I know I paused and I'm like, why is this guy asking
you
for
just
a model?
Paused and thought and were like, no.
Yeah, then I'm sure knowing me, you know, I would for sure laughed it off.
He did laugh it off.
Yeah, he laughed it off.
It was not one of those kind of things. I really thought this was some model dude. He was sitting there, and you know how at some of these conferences there are people that are presenters or whatever, and you know
how disarming. What a perfectly disarming statement to make.
Are you a model?
Yeah.
I still always tell JC he's the handsomest guy, and you know even yesterday,
so I'll take it.
even yesterday, I threw it out there with the two women at the restaurant, and I said, "I'm a handsome friend. He's single, whatever."
Yeah, I keep telling him to stop doing it. He won't stop doing it.
He tells everybody.
JC's
he's handsome, single. You guys should change numbers. I'm like, what?
Because I just love this dude. He's the nicest guy I've ever met.
Maybe he doesn't want anybody right now.
No, maybe he doesn't.
But he never does that with any of his family members. So I'm wondering like how they never like his cousin. Like, hey, I got a good friend.
With your family members?
I don't want him dropping a sledgehammer on one of my family member girl cousins.
I feel like that's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea.
Family and like business, and that doesn't always end well.
Yeah, but I'm gentle.
I know.
Yeah, but she might not be.
Well, that's okay.
She's still. Well, okay, this just took a dark turn,
Hey,
but I support it.
You started it.
But Jay, when you were in college, you weren't. Did you have aspirations of being in the music business? You were an athlete.
No, I had
right?
I had no. My thing is, when I was in college, before we met, I finished up playing ball at UC Riverside. I went to San Francisco State to finish up my credits to get my degree. And Barry, Rock Barry was on our college radio, so he was a college radio panel.
KGGI, was it?
No, UC Riverside.
Oh, UC
KUCR.
KUCR, that's right.
And so he hit me up like, yo, I'm coming up. There's this music convention. Well, let's come hang out. Like, all right, cool. So I get there, and I'm saying like, oh, that's so-and-so. Oh, look at that. You see, and all this stuff. Yeah, huh?
You're just fanboying.
Yeah, fanboy a little bit. Yeah. Like, man, oh, that's LL. Like, oh, okay.
Oh, my God.
And I remember one time we went to Townhouse. It was I think it was
Townsend.
Townsend.
That's where I thought we met.
It might have no. Actually, I think we're in Bryant. We're a different club. It wasn't Townsend.
Yeah.
And so I remember pulling up with B, and it was like crowded. I'm like, man, you look at all these people, and like you can tell who's trying to be somebody. Like everyone's trying to look their best and all that. But the dude that doesn't do that is probably the man. And I'm like,
that was
you
me.
see, I'm like,
Sorry about me.
no, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't you.
Are you sure it wasn't me?
And then this dude gets out of a cab. I'm like, see that guy right there? He looked like he's not trying to be nobody. He's probably somebody. And Barry's like, it's Russell Simmons.
Oh, there you go.
Shit.
I'm like, okay, there you go.
I always say Lamborghinis don't have commercials.
No,
don't be a Honda.
No Bentley. Yeah, exactly. No Bentley commercials and none of that stuff. So as I'm there, I'm meeting. And so the last night, I'm at a step show in San Jose, and I'm with this girl. And B's like, yo, I got a pass. I'm leaving. I got to leave, but there's a show tonight. I'm like, cool. So I'm like, hey, I got past this show, trying to, look important. So we go to the show, and it was two big MC performing.
Oh, great.
And I'm sitting there like, boo. I'm like, he's like a fat, broke hammer. And I'm just talking mess, and dude taps me on the shoulder. I turn around, and we're like, eye to eye, beer, he's like, hey, so what do you think of Too Big MC? I'm like, oh, he's trash, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, I promote his records. So I'm saying like, oh shit, I'm about to fight. Like, should I throw a punch? Should I run? Like, I'm trying to figure out what I gotta do. And it was Troy Shelton.
Oh, Troy.
And Troy's like, yo, what do you do? Blah, blah. I'm telling her like, I'm in college, this, that, and that. Like, yo, I need somebody up here to do promotions. I'll send you $500 on a box of records. He had me at $500. I like bet. And he's like, I'm gonna introduce you. He introduced me to Brian Sampson, Davey D, different people, and like, yo, this is my man. And everybody like, he's like, ask anybody my name. I'm like, ask anybody. So I'm like, hey man, you're a Troy Shelton? Oh, it's Big Troy? Oh, I mean, everybody was just like, So I started working records. The first record was Hip Hop Junkies, Nice and Smooth. Nice and Smooth. And no, it wasn't that. It was what's my man? Oh, I can't forget.
See how old he is?
Easy Mo B.
Easy Mo B was my record. That's Riff, Rapping is Fundamental.
Oh, that was your record. So that was the first record we worked for.
Yeah, I gave Troy, because Troy was my...
Oh, you know what? That's what it was.
That was my record, man.
So that was the first record. It was Riff.
Popping other people's shit.
Okay, so it was Riff. It was Easy Mo B, Riff. And that was the first record, so that was Detroit. So I wasn't Brian. Okay.
So that's how your relationship
I'm the fucking man.
started too.
Yeah. This was a long time ago. So
this is why I'm the fucking man. See, the first record.
So that was the first record, and then it just kind of just built from there. But that was that was how I got.
And then you guys were ride
just
or
random.
die.
Was that?
Now you're both ride or die. You started off from
it's like
that
day
record.
one. Day one. And that's how I got into music, just by chance, this random.
Wow.
I like okay.
I feel like most people like come into music by chance. You kind of did too, right? A little bit.
Well, yeah, because you just
I was a club promoter. I was a club promoter.
Well, it's kind of like Troy Marshall. He got Troy.
We were all
doing the big clubs and building a relationship with industry people, and they like how they work, and they're like, yo, I think you'd be a good fit. That's how Troy Marshall got into
I know. He's coming out here. All of the guys that it's interesting because our contemporaries. I don't think the industry is going to ever have that again. I don't believe that. I don't believe that the people that are at the other labels, in talking to the label people now, that they have that kind of camaraderie that we had back then. Because when we would
there
go,
in a special time.
It was 90s hip hop was a very special time, not only musically, but culturally, politically. Yeah. It was a very, very diverse situation going on at that time.
It was the beginning.
Big elevation happening.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of compare it to where we at now with crypto. It's something that people don't understand. People were offended. People didn't see it. And you started seeing, people never last, and you had
until it did.
And there was that lady. What's her name? It was going to Congress trying to shut down, called the profanity, and
Dolores Tucker.
Yeah, and then so you had a lot of political issues. Then that's when in the '80s Reagan was in the era, so there was a lot of animosity that was brought up within the music. So you had the political stuff, like you said. You had the social stuff. Then Rodney King. So there was definitely a lot.
We had Arrest the President. I was tragic with Arrest the President because he was against Bush.
Yeah,
and these were political happenings that were really invading the music business for the first time for us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, civil rights had situations. You had the issues with Sam Cooke and all those kind of artists back then. But for the first time when we were growing up, Queen Vic wasn't born yet, but the issues back then were very different from I didn't know with the folk music and the Bob Dylan era coming in when they were talking about give peace a chance and so forth. Mm-hmm. Now it's become very aggressive. This is 90s.
Right.
It had become very aggressive with fuck the police,
right.
Cop killer, right? Bullet from Trage comes with Bullet. You have artists that are going head to head against the establishment, and really, for the first time, I think we were noticing the power of the crowds, and the crowds were the hip hop.
Yeah,
that was the crowd. It was, and the protests were being done on records.
Yeah, exactly.
And we were like picking a side almost. We were picking a side, and fortunately, for us, you and I especially, you have two different kinds of people. You have a white guy and a black guy, but we were one kind of people with music and hip hop. And that's one of the things that was the beauty of it.
It's powerful.
It was very, very powerful at that time.
It's still powerful.
So
but specifically,
because
bringing
the thing
people
is,
together.
Who was it talking about? Like they're like the CNN. Because hip hop, they were speaking the news that wasn't being told in the media.
Right.
They were speaking their truths that media wasn't saying
covering
because they weren't being paid to cover it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So
or
you have
topics that they just stayed away from because of conservative beliefs that they had, even still, but especially in the 90s.
These guys were unfiltered.
And the thing, it's unfiltered. And the thing is, like, what's funny, like, even today's climate, everyone talks about the media and all that stuff. And black people were saying that from back then. Like the media is not telling the full story, the true story, and all that stuff.
Right.
And so it's kind of like, they had to be aggressive. They couldn't be like kind of like, hey, well, this is happening in our neighborhood. They had to like throw it in your face, like this shock value, like fuck the police. It's like that caught people's attention. Like what the fuck? What?
Right.
And because it had to be done because no one was paying attention.
Because
I was telling
making
the
a
story the other
subliminal
day.
lyric about it is not working.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Because I mean, a good example. I was talking the other day that remember in the '80s. The Crips and Blood, that's when all of a sudden became a thing. But no one talked about it, no one cared about it because it's just black people killing black people. So it's no big deal. But once you had that drive-by in Westwood when a young white girl got killed, all of a sudden there's task forces, there's funding going in to stop gang violence, and it became an issue because it crossed over from...
So people became more aware of the publicity that would happen when it was a white kid that got killed.
Yeah, and the news, that's when the news covered it. Gang violence. It's been going on since the 70s, but now it's a media thing. Media's like, and it's a hot topic, so obviously that gives you media buys.
Right.
Now it's a big thing. Now they care about it. They don't really care about it, but now it's something worth
Now they feel a social obligation to cover it, and the social obligation came from what you guys are talking about.
Exactly.
But I never understood this, and it's still, we're talking about 40, almost 35 years later.
Right.
In the Jewish community, for example, recently there's been some uprisings, obviously out here with the Middle East conflict, reigniting, and now people have been violating and attacking Jewish people. My nephew decides to start a political watch group or a protective watch group. Yeah, protective watch group.
So sweet.
And so sweet, yes, but this is like what I don't understand. Why isn't the black community policing the black community?
But they did. I mean, think about.
I'm talking about now. This is like the worst. Chicago. We talked last night about Chicago. Mm-hmm. Girl was talking about Chicago with me and you having
crazy as hell.
Me and you, Jay and I were having lunch yesterday. Girl comes over. She's a gorgeous girl. Just got married from Chicago, and she's telling us that it's crazy, and she works the south side of Chicago. Mm-hmm. And why the fuck isn't the black community leaders strapping up and going out vigilante style and policing these communities and going head to head? Why not?
Because you can't. I mean, think about. Remember the health. That was it in New York where the guys
Guardian Angels.
Yeah, I mean the stuff like that. What they got. If I go in with a gun in the black community and try to police, first of all, no one's trying to get killed. Like it's not. It sounds good, but the reality of it is.
Have you been in Chicago? And I live 3 hours from Chicago. I used to go there all the time.
I've been there.
It's sketchy when you're actually there. Like
it's
where Michael Jackson grew up, right?
But that's
which was technically Indiana, but it's not at Chicago. Yeah, it's Indiana. So I literally stopped there to get gas, and the police were like, "Ooh, don't stop here.
Right.
Keep going. Right. You're gonna get." Fucking murdered.
Yeah, but the thing is the thing is that like anything, you got to talk about where it began. It's like if you have a illness, you don't look at like say I've had cancer and you get a wound, you don't just fix the wound. You still got the cancer underneath.
Yeah, you got the underlying problem. So
that's
you
the
need
problem.
to find out what the underlying problem is.
We know what the underlying problem is. It's just that's not being taken care of.
What's the underlying problem?
It's if you look at the resources in the inner city compared to the suburbs. So let's compare Crenshaw, Watts, Compton to where Ev lives, Thousand Oaks, Agoura.
Yeah.
Completely different resources. And that's the problem.
Why? How?
Because
I just want to hear you talk about it.
There's more cops patrolling.
It's not cops. We don't need cops. Cops is the wipe in the wound. Cops is not. That's not the underlying problem where it's come from. You have kids growing up. Like, let me ask you a question.
I got it. Yeah.
Would you have your kids bus to go to Crenshaw High instead of Agoura or Oak Christian? Would you bus them?
Not.
Exactly.
Absolutely not.
But would someone from Crenshaw area want their kids to go to Westlake and Oaks Christian? Absolutely.
Well, I would welcome it.
Yeah, but no, it's not about you. I don't need you to welcome it. It's just that there's two different opportunities in education and life.
I don't believe that. Nope, I don't believe that. I don't believe.
Have kids bus from Thousand Oaks to Crenshaw.
We met a teacher. We met a teacher. Because I'm gonna talk openly because this is what we're about. But we met a teacher last weekend that went to USC and UCLA. Black woman. She's the head of the school in Watts. Okay, this is a very educated woman, and we're gonna have her on the show. She's a beautiful, amazing woman, and just the stuff that she was talking about to me in the short time I spent with her. I believe that it's there's systemic issues, but I don't believe that that teacher is less suited to teach than the teacher at Oaks Christian. I bet you she's much more educated.
That's not what we said. That's not
well, you're saying, would you want them to be bused there? If that was the teacher there, I would want it to be safer. That's all I would want. Okay. I would want it to be safer.
Well, they usually are. Like at those schools, I know where I grew up, you didn't have to walk through metal detectors. Right. But there was a school nearby where you did. And it was predominantly at like more of an urban scenario. There was a lot of violence there, and they had to walk through. It's not even there. I think they tore the school down.
Why can't the community police their community? I would bet that the volunteers that are going to walk the streets. Jamie's walking the streets with guys that they mobilized within a week and a half, where there's 25 guys that are driving around bringing elderly people to Temple Friday night for services and Saturday. And I would bet that if there was if Cabrini Greens had a Cabrini Green group that were going out, these are the OGs that are trying to do something. I bet the localized policing of your own community would drop. I don't believe it would.
Maybe it's not a policing thing. Maybe you're fighting fire with fire. I think that it's less of a war against and more of an advocacy too. Like what Jamie did wasn't a war against people doing something wrong. It was, let me help these people.
Right.
So maybe in school they need to start teaching consciousness, like in kindergarten.
That's what JC was talking about this morning on our way up here today. He was talking about,
really?
He was talking about that driving up, that we need to start teaching the kids different kinds of things, acceptance of all races, about
your emotions,
about business,
how to deal with their emotions.
You know what we're gonna do? Because the thing is, you guys are speaking from up here, looking down, like, oh, they should. If it was that easy, it'd be done. And it's obviously
it's something.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not something. But what it do? I know some people we can have on the show that can speak way better than I can to help you guys have a better understanding of why. It's not that easy as you make it. I want to hear more about
that. I believe there's something that I know there's something that I'm missing.
We're missing something.
Oh yeah, no, you're definitely missing something because it's not that easy.
It's got to be something really deep-seated.
Oh, it's definitely it's deep-seated, but I'd rather have somebody
in the
that can really explain it, better than I can, because I don't want to miss.
But you do spend a lot of time in the community.
No, that's why I know what you guys are saying is not right. Yeah. But I want to bring someone that can really explain it better than I can.
Well, I think that's not what I'm saying. Isn't necessarily it's not a Band-Aid. That is getting to the bottom of it, because if people live teaching consciousness in kindergarten, because when people start growing up with not just religion but also how to become spiritual yourself, then you're going to your cork will float.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have a better. Yeah,
and then every decision that you make will be one of alignment, and you'll be walking in a better place, and then people will be happier, and then happier people do happier things, and then everything's fixed. Rainbows and butterflies.
That's an oversimplification.
Super oversimplification.
So I mean, and it sounds good, and it's warm and fuzzy, but in general, you're right in an ideal situation. Unfortunately, we don't live in ideal situations.
But there are schools that are doing that.
Take it easy, Victoria. I'm still talking.
And he gets jumped around. See that?
And there's a lot more to it. So that's why I think we'll bring someone in that can really.
But you walk the talk, Jay. I mean, I've known you for a very long time. I very, very few times. I mean, you checked me before. I lied to you once, and I'll never forget it. And you brought it to my attention, and it was bothering to you, and bothered me even more. Realizing that I offended one of my best friends, and you walk the walk, dude. And that's one of the reasons why I'm always very pro JC. But has this always been your way since you were a kid? I know your family, both mom and dad, have been passed now for a while now, and you've been a pretty solid example of a man to me, to my children, to people that I know. Has that always been really your foundation with your mom and dad, or was it a relative? Because I mean, you bring that to our business. Yeah. Even dealing with artists, and
it's not easy to be super grounded when you're in that industry.
It's not easy at all.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, I have to give credit, obviously to my parents. My dad was a very quiet, hardworking guy that was just quiet, and he had his own demons. He dealt with alcoholism, and my mom was a feisty.
Is that why you don't drink?
That's a big part why.
Okay. Okay. I never knew that. This is a new thing about my best friend.
Yeah, and my mom was a feisty Creole woman. She didn't take shit from nobody.
What did they do? What kind of business were they in?
My dad was janitor. Well, first he was at Wells Fargo. I forgot what he did at Wells Fargo. Then he had his own janitorial business. And my mom worked for, at that time, was it Pac Bell or something like that, for 30 years.
Oh, she was a journeyman.
Yeah. So she put her 30 minutes in, I think, engineering or something that she did for them. So, the groundedness. Yeah, I can't.
Did you go to Catholic school?
Mm-hmm. You were just.
You did, so maybe that had some input.
I mean, I'm sure. I think it's a combination of both, and sometimes as human beings, just like your kids, Ella and Huddy, two different personalities.
Absolutely.
And same parents, same environment, same that. But so I think part of it is also you just kind of who you are too.
Right.
So I mean, for me, I just always just been that way, as far as I can know.
As an athlete, as a competitive athlete for so many years, was there a specific coach that you had that maybe inspired you to be that kind of a man?
Bringing it down to one moment where you realize.
Yeah, I can't. But if I had to pick a coach, I think that gave me that was my high school coach, Coach Emilio, because he was a very devout Christian. He was funny. He would get in practice and curse us out. We'll mess up, curse us out, then he'll bring us in a circle. Hey guys, I'm sorry, that's not my way. He starts tearing up, but then he'll do it again. Like it was just like it was always like, fuck you, goddamn, what the fuck? Hey guys, I'm sorry. He gets all emotional. I shouldn't have done that. Like,
so he showed you what you didn't want to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, if I had to pick a coach, but I think a lot of it is the people I hung around with. My parents, family members, and I think just kind of was who I am, who God made me as when I came into the world. Like I don't know.
I love that. All right, so we're back with the We Got Issues Hoodlum podcast, and listen, you guys like, subscribe, and
hit the like button
and follow us. Don't make it fun. Like, follow, and subscribe. Hit that button on the right there that says you liked it, like the podcast. Make us happy. You know what I'm saying? Catch you right back.
Here we go.